Welcome back to Ben's Garage. We're in the house. It is absolutely chucking it down with rain out there at the moment. I thought I'd do a solar stat video. We've not had a solar stat video since October last year because, as you know, the inverter blew up or did whatever it did. I've got some follow-up videos for that in due course. We'll get to that in a minute. So the Powmister 5.6 kilowatt inverter has been running since sort of mid-December. So far, so good. It is a lot more efficient than the Growatt. The Growatt SPF 5000 ES pulls about 75 watts out of the battery constantly. Even if you've got glorious sunshine outside and that's powering all the loads, the inverter still pulls 75 watts out of the battery all the time. So obviously overnight that does make quite an impact, because overnight our loads are really low. The fridge or freezer might cut in and out as and when it needs to. We have the heating turned right down, but if it gets that cold the boiler might fire up every now and again. But other than that, you know, so with the Growatt, if we'd have had a really good day of sun, charged the batteries all the way up to 100%, by the morning you'd think, right, well, we're ready to get charging, because otherwise it's going to go to grid. With this Powmister, on these crappy days, we're still getting a bit of solar coming in at the minute, even though it's really crap, because obviously it's daylight, so you do get a little bit. So we're just managing our loads at the moment. Our sort of general load sits around, generally the house load sits about 75 to about 150 watts. And then if we've got the power, we switch the hot water on, or we cook in the oven. The hot water's about 2 kilowatts. The kettle, if we put it onto the solar, is 2 kilowatts. The toaster is 2 kilowatts. And the ovens, my oven's about 2 kilowatts. If I use the grill, it's about 3.5 kilowatts on the grill. But you just have to manage your loads when you've not got the solar coming in. So the app, the communication between the inverter and the batteries is not finalised. There's a Pylontech setting in the inverter, and it just, of course, Pylontech say that they don't support Powmister. Powmister say that they do support Pylontech. Now, when we first got the Growatt, Pylontech said they didn't support the Growatt, but I got all that hooked up and it communicated seamlessly. With the Powmister, the state of charge doesn't come through on the app correctly. It's all hit and miss, but the kilowatts is all coming through, and this, that, and the other. I have set settings on the battery so that it charges up. I can't remember what I did set it to now, but I've done it to Pylontech's recommended settings for the voltage, because they're 48 volt batteries. I'm sure it was about 53 point something volts, and then floats at 52. I can't remember now. Anyway, that's by the by. It's been charging the batteries up. I've had no alarms on the batteries coming up, and I've got it set that it goes to grid when the batteries get down to 47.8 volts. It's sort of, you've got two lights on the battery, and I think each light is, I'm not quite sure what percentage they were. There's 6 lights, so when it's on 6 it's 100. So divide 100 by 6, and you've got how much each light is. So yeah, that's that. It's not ideal. People have said switch the battery setting on the inverter to a different make, and that works, but I did that and it was all coming through lovely on the app. State of charge was all correct, but all the alarms started going off, saying that the battery was overcharging, this, that and the other. So it was like, let's just stick it back to what we know. It's almost like user-defined settings, where you set in what voltages you want, and when it switches to grid, this, that and the other. Anyway, so that's all working. We're just not getting the bloody sun. So we're going to have a quick look on the app. And the app is, I'm just going to do a screen recording, if I can remember how to do it. Of course, it's a new iPad. Bear with me. Right, we're screen recording now. So the app, getting the Wi-Fi dongle wasn't as straightforward either, but we got it working. So we'll open up the app. Comes up with this. We just touch this button here, Now it doesn't quite show up. It shows up better on the iPad than it does on the phone. So top left here, that's the energy that's coming in. So we've got 144 watts coming in. The house is using 149, so it is pulling a little bit out of the battery at the moment. So then you can click on details, and it is quite detailed what you can sort of bring up. Your battery voltage, your amps, mains voltage, your PV input. So PV is your solar panels, so PV input is charging power is 144 watts. The PV voltage is 289 volts DC. So you can come down here, you've got your charging power, your output voltage, output frequency, load current, load power, and then you've got all your temperatures and the battery charge on the day. Battery charge on the day is a big fat 0 because the whatever power we're getting coming in is powering the loads on the house. And then you've got accumulated battery hours and total discharge and all that sort of thing. You can go through the times and that. So we can click on this chart button, and that shows us our graph for today. So, and this is all accurate, although the state of charge. Let me go back to the energy flow page where it says 37%. That is, it might be accurate, but it doesn't seem to follow what the battery's doing. So whether it's a bit behind on this, I don't know. Anyway, we'll go back to the chart. This is today. So if I switch off battery power and load power, that is our solar curve for today. Absolutely rubbish. So our load is, you know, from midnight. We've had spikes, so that's just things cutting in and out. I can hover over it. So there we had a load of 140 watts back down. So when it's sort of sitting at idle, down here, look, 12, 13 watts. And then something will kick in, 140, back down to 8. And then up and down, up and down, up and down. And then obviously 8 o'clock this morning, Tina switched the boiler on, so boiler comes on at about 7, which is about there, so that's about 230 watts and this, that and the other. So that's all well good, and you can skip back through the days. If I touch month, it'll give us a day by day. So obviously the first day of yeah, I'm doing solar stats for January, aren't I? But I'm just showing you the app at the moment. So this gives you your day to day, so you can just touch it. 1.1, 7.3, 11.7. So we're going to go back to January. Let's have a look at January's solar stats. So this is the month of January. Again, rubbish. The highest peak we got here was 14.5, which was a very good day. The next day, 13.5. Over here we got 12.2, 11.5, 12.3. So now we've got that, we're going to click on the year, and that will give us month by month. So we can have a look at January. So the month of January, we did 150.6 kilowatt hours of electric on solar. Now, I don't know if I can bring it up on the computer. The app for the GrowWatt, all the details have gone. It's got all our sort of totals, but it hasn't got our month by month. I did look at it before it all disappeared. January 23, we only did 125 kilowatts. So we have beat January's total, but we've had to pay out a little bit on EDF. I'll have a look on the GrowWatt app on the computer, and then we'll have a look at the EDF numbers as well, what we've actually had to pay for. So yeah, the month of January we did do better than last year. So I'll have a quick look on the computer and get some numbers for you. I've just done some screenshots over on the computer, and I've written down some scores. What's on the board, Miss Ford? So January 23, no. Yeah. January 2023, we did 125.6. January 22, we did 205.7. Now, hang on, I've just done my sums incorrect, so I'll be back with you shortly. Confusing myself then. I was working out how much we paid for January 23's electric. January 23, 125.6. Now the year before we did even better. January 22, we did 205.7. You'll see that come up on the screen. I don't know how it's done the do's. So this year, January 24, we did 150.6. Now at the current price of electric, now the electric has gone up in February, so I'm assuming from this month onwards it's the new price. They've put it up by another 10%. January was still at the old price, which was 23 cents a unit, which doesn't sound a lot to some people, but they charge us €19 just for the pleasure of having electric in the house. So the electric that we generated in January saved us €34.63 on the old price. So February onwards, I'm assuming it's going to be the new price. We'll see when I do a solar stats for February. So when it comes to EDF, obviously when the sun's not out, you need hot water. You can't not use the oven or toaster or the kettle, especially with the Hobbit in the house. Coffee is a must for her, so the kettle is almost constant. We imported 177 kilowatt hours, which for a house for 2 people I don't think is too bad. I've seen other people do solar stats and it's like ridiculous numbers. It's like, bloody hell. And a lot of those really high numbers are people that have got kids that do a lot of gaming. So these gaming PCs take up so much power. Obviously the kids aren't paying the electric, so they don't give a monkeys, do they? Anyway, so that's 177 kilowatt hours. Now, at the current price, that energy imported cost us €40, bang on. And the standing order, €19. That's creeping up. When I started doing solar stats, it was €15 a month, and it's gone up to 19 now. So January we had to pay EDF €59, which I don't really like doing. Now we do get the check energy. If you're on low income, disability benefit, or you're an old age pensioner, you get from the government once a year normally. Now when COVID was around, I think we got free checks in the post. Now you can use them against your electric or gas, or if you're buying oil, you can put that against that. You have to buy your oil outright. Obviously, oil is so expensive at the moment. We was having to get that on payments. When it's on payments, you can't use your check energy for the oil. They'll only accept it if you pay it outright. We've got through it. January 23, we were still in credit from the free that we'd had before. Then we got one last year, that went in there. So what that check energy normally does when we're generating a lot of electric is that covers a standing order and the little bit that we do have on solar. Not on solar, the little bit that we do import, because all the lights are on EDF because I've not swapped that over yet. But they're all LED bulbs. Very, very little power drawn from any of these bulbs, which is probably one of the reasons why I haven't swapped it over, because it doesn't make it's a drop in the ocean. Yeah, so getting back to the Grow Watt, it is a bit of a saga. I won't go into it too much in this video because this is a solar stats, but I know some of you will be wanting to know. Yeah, there was a lot of emails backwards and forwards, and they said no, they was adamant that the warranty was expired after 2 years. No matter what Allo Solar had on their website, Grow Watt will not entertain it. So it was sort of like, okay then, what do we do now? We've got a nearly €1,000 inverter that hadn't even been running for 2 years, and it's fit for the bin. So I was emailing back, because Allo Solar, even when I got in touch with them, when they said the inverter's packed up, it's got this fault, I said, well, that's okay, the shop guarantee's expired, but it's still covered under the manufacturer's guarantee. So I thought, 2 thumbs up, because it did say that when we bought it. That's the only reason we bought that one. Obviously, it's not an expensive one, and it's not a cheap one. It's sort of somewhere in the middle, and I thought, well, Grow Watt have been going for a good few years. We'll go for that. Anyway, so I started emailing backwards and forwards with the Grow Watt technical man who deals with France, and he was adamant, no, it's out of warranty. And it was going backwards and forwards, and then just out of the blue, they said, right, well, we'll send you a new motherboard. I'm like, okay. Do you want us to send it to Allo Solar so that they can change it, or do you want to change it yourself? I said, well, I'll change it myself. You've got all the added extras of shipping the inverter back to Allo Solar for them to fix it and then have it shipped back, which is going to cost us. And I said, right, okay, can you send me one? How much is it going to cost? And it was like, it's free of charge because it's our responsibility. It's like, 1 minute you're saying it's out of guarantee, now you're saying it's your responsibility. Whether it's because they know that my Grow Watt or solar videos do quite well on YouTube and they don't want me to badmouth them, but a couple of months has passed, and just the other day, a brand new motherboard has turned up. Obviously, in the meantime, we've got this cheap inverter. Now, I've had a lot of people saying, oh, how dare you use that inverter with those batteries? You got £3,000 worth of batteries and you're putting a crappy Chinese inverter on it. We've got no choice. If you want to donate us some money, I'll put a bloody expensive inverter on there. What can you do? The Power Mister is made in China. The Grow Watt's made in China. The Power Mister feels very good quality. I've not taken it apart to see what the internals look like, but it is very good quality. It doesn't rattle or anything when you shake it about. That's got a 2-year guarantee on it. I don't think they'd ever fix it. I'm sure they would just ask you to diagnose it yourself and send you the parts to fix it. But I had no choice. You know, we've got solar panels out there, we've got batteries in there, and we've got no inverter. So what do you do? With very little money. So yeah, that's why we've got the Power Mister. So what I'm going to do in another video is get the Grow Watt in. Of course, the motherboard is right at the bottom, so everything has to come out before I can get to the motherboard. I'll change the motherboard, we'll put it back up on the wall, get it all connected up and test it. Let it run for a month or something, and then see how it goes. And we might end up putting the Power Mister back on the wall because it just seems so much more efficient. A bit more testing required, and obviously we won't really know until we get good sun, which we've not had for a while. So that's going to be it for this video. It was a bit of a solar update at Ben's garage, what's going on with the inverters. So if I can get the Grow Watt fixed, we'll put it back on the wall, get it all connected up and test it for a month, say, and then I'll maybe swap them back, and then we'll keep one as a spare. Obviously the Grow Watt's out of warranty now, so that's that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.